Captain Lee Tae-jin stood on the bridge of the Soul's Pride, watching the massive alien space station grow larger through the viewscreen. The station was bigger than Earth's moon, made of strange blue metal that seemed to shift and flow like liquid. Thousands of alien ships moved around it like tiny insects. "Sir, we're receiving their docking instructions," said Communications Officer Kim Ha-na. Her hands shook slightly as she worked at her console. This was humanity's first meeting with aliens, and everyone was nervous. Lee Tae-jin nodded. "Follow. Their directions exactly. We don't want any trouble on our first day." The Soul's Pride was Earth's best ship, but next to the alien vessels it looked like a toy. The human ship was made of simple steel and titanium, while the alien ships glowed with energy fields and moved without any visible engines. As they docked, Lee Tae-jin felt his stomach tighten. Earth had sent him and his team to make a good first impression. Humanity wanted to join the Galactic Council, a group of 12 alien species that ruled the galaxy. But looking at the advanced technology around them, Lee wondered if humans were ready for this. The airlock opened with a hiss. Lee Tae-jin stepped through, followed by Dr. Kim Ha-na, engineer Nam Ki-tae, and diplomat Yoon Mi-kyung. The alien corridor was huge, with ceilings 30 feet high. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, and the air smelled like ozone and flowers. 2 aliens waited for them. The first was Veltar, a being made of living crystal. Its body caught the light and threw rainbow patterns on the walls. The second was Korth, covered in purple tentacles that moved constantly. Both aliens towered over the humans. "So these are the humans," Veltar said. Its voice sounded like breaking glass. "How small." Korth's tentacles writhed as it spoke. Their ship barely held together during the journey, such primitive construction. Lee Tae-jin stepped forward and bowed politely. "Greetings. I am Captain Lee Tae-jin, representing Earth and humanity. We are honored to meet you." Veltar's crystal body flickered with what might have been laughter. "Honored? How quaint. Follow us to the council chamber. Try not to touch anything important." The aliens led them through corridors filled with impossible technology. Streams of light carried information through the air. Machines repaired themselves while working. Gardens grew in impossible geometric patterns, with plants that sang in harmony. Dr. Kim Ha-na whispered to Lee Tae-jin, "Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours." "I know," he whispered back. "Just smile and stay calm." The council chamber was enormous, with representatives from all 12 alien species floating in energy bubbles above a central platform. Lee Tae-jin and his team stood in the center, feeling very small. A being that looked like a giant spider with wings spoke first. "We have reviewed your species' development. Humans show potential for basic labor." Another alien, covered in scales and breathing fire, added, "Your weapons are laughably weak. Your ships fall apart in space. Your medicine involves cutting flesh like barbarians." Veltar projected images into the air showing human hospitals. "Look how they slice their own kind open to heal them. So crude." Dr. Kim Ha-na stepped forward. "Our medicine saves millions of lives every year. We've cured diseases that once killed—" "Silence," Korth interrupted. "We have bacteria that perform surgery better than your finest doctors. Your entire medical knowledge fits in our children's toys." The spider-like alien continued. "Your art is emotional nonsense. Your music is random noise. Your literature is the confused thoughts of an infant species." Engineer Nam Ki-tae clenched his fists but said nothing. Around them, the aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. "However," the fire-breathing alien said, "we are not without mercy. We offer humanity a place in our great civilization." Lee Tae-jin felt hope rise in his chest. "We would be grateful for the opportunity to—" "You will mine asteroids." Veltar cut him off. "Clean waste facilities. Perform basic maintenance on equipment too simple for our workers to bother with." The hope died in Lee Tae-jin's heart. "You want us to be servants." "Servants?" The spider alien's bubble pulsed with light. "You should be grateful we offer anything at all. Most species we encounter are too primitive to be useful." Korth's tentacles waved dismissively. "Your computers are barely electronic. Your fastest ships would take centuries to cross the galaxy. Your soldiers fight with metal bullets. It's almost sad. Diplomat Yoon Mi-kyung spoke carefully. We appreciate your offer, but humanity would prefer a more equal partnership. The chamber erupted in alien sounds that were definitely laughter now. One being that looked like a floating jellyfish said, Equal? You contribute nothing. You know nothing. You are nothing. Your entire planet produces less energy than one of our minor space stations, added a rock-like creature. Your population could fit in our smallest city. What could you possibly offer us as equals? Lee Tae-jin straightened his shoulders. We offer our unique perspective, our creativity, our determination to... Determination? Veltar's crystal body flashed bright red. You fight wars among yourselves over colored dirt. You poison your own world with waste. You worship invisible beings in the sky. This is what you call civilization? The fire-breathing alien spoke again. We give you one of your Earth years. To reconsider. Report to Mining Station 7 in the Kepler system. Refuse, and we will find other uses for your world's resources. Other uses? Dr. Kim Hana asked. Your planet has nice raw materials, Korth said casually. The organic matter can be converted to fuel, very efficient. The meaning was clear. Submit or die. Lee Tae-jin looked around at his team. Nam Ki-tae was angry, his face red with controlled rage. Dr. Kim Hana looked scared but determined. Diplomat Yoon Mi-kyung was already calculating options. We will need to discuss this with our government, Lee Tae-jin said finally. Of course, Veltar said. Its voice dripped with false sympathy. Take all the time you need. 1 year. As the humans were escorted back to their ship, they heard the aliens talking among themselves. Pathetic creatures, one said. Did you see their ship's radiation leakage? They'll all be dead from cancer in a few years anyway. The children were cute, though, another added. We should preserve a few for study. Back on the Soul's Pride, the human delegation sat in silence for a long time. Finally, Nam Ki-tae spoke. They think we're insects. No, Dr. Kim Hana said quietly. Insects serve a purpose in nature. They think we're worse than that. Lee Tae-jin stared out at the alien station as they undocked. Set course for Earth. Maximum speed. Sir, the pilot asked, what do we tell the people back home? Lee Tae-jin was quiet for a moment. Then he said, we tell them the truth. The galaxy is ruled by bullies who think humanity is worthless. As the Soul's Pride jumped to faster-than-light speed, none of the humans noticed the small smile on Dr. Kim Hana's face, nor did they see the strange readings on Nam Ki-tae's personal scanner hidden in his toolkit. The aliens had made their first mistake. They had underestimated humanity. Behind them, on the alien station, Veltar and Korth watched the human ship disappear into hyperspace. Should we follow them? Korth asked. Make sure they don't try anything foolish. Veltar's crystal body dimmed with boredom. What could they possibly do? Their weapons can't even scratch our shields. Let them have their year of false hope. It will make their surrender sweeter. Neither alien noticed the faint energy signature that the human ship had left behind, a signature that didn't match any known human technology. The first move in a very long game had just been played. 6 months had passed since the meeting with the Galactic Council. Admiral Park Dong-ho stood in the command center of Earth's largest space station, watching his screens with growing concern. The sensors showed what looked like a small moon, approaching the outer edge of the solar system, but Park knew better. How many ships? He asked his aide, Lieutenant Choi Woo-bin. We count over 3,000 vessels, sir, and that's just the ones we can see clearly. Park rubbed his tired eyes. The past 6 months had been the busiest in human history. Every nation on Earth had worked together, building ships and weapons as fast as possible. But looking at the alien fleet now, Park realized it might not be enough. They're not even trying to hide, said Commander Seo Min-ho from his position at the tactical station. It's like they want us to see how hopeless this is. The alien ships were beautiful and terrible. They moved in perfect formation, each one the size of a city. Energy fields crackled between them, creating patterns of light that hurt to look at directly. At the center of the fleet was a massive ship that dwarfed all the others. Sir? Communications. Officer Lee So-min called out. We're receiving a transmission. It's broadcasting on all frequencies, every language on Earth. Put it on the main screen. The image that appeared made several people in the command center step backward. Veltar's crystal form filled the screen, but now it was surrounded by weapons and armor that made it look like a living weapon. Behind it, other alien council members could be seen, all of them looking much more threatening than during the first meeting. "Humans of Earth," Veltar said, its voice echoing strangely. "Your year of consideration is over. We trust you have made the wise choice." Park activated the communication system. "This is Admiral Park Dong-ho of the Earth Defense Force. We need more time to—" "Time?" Veltar's laugh sounded like breaking crystal. "Time for what? To build more of your pathetic metal ships? To create more useless weapons?" Behind Veltar, Korth moved into view. Its tentacles were now covered in some kind of metallic coating that sparked with energy. "We have been watching your preparations, humans. Very amusing." "You have worked so hard," another alien voice added. This one belonged to the spider-like being from the council. "Building your little fleet, training your little soldiers. It reminds us of children playing war games." Veltar moved closer to the camera. "To demonstrate the futility of resistance, we will provide a small lesson." The transmission cut to an external view. Park and his crew watched in horror as one of the alien ships, smaller than the others but still enormous, moved toward the outer edge of the solar system. It stopped near Pluto. "Observe," Veltar's voice said over the speakers. A beam of pure energy, brighter than the sun, shot out from the alien ship. It hit Pluto and simply erased it. The dwarf planet, which had existed for billions of years, turned to dust in 3 seconds. The explosion was so bright that the ship's cameras automatically dimmed to protect human eyes. In the command center, nobody spoke. They had all known the aliens were powerful, but seeing a planet destroyed so casually was different from knowing it in theory. "Your largest bombs could not achieve 1% of what you just witnessed," Veltar continued. "This was our smallest weapon, fired at minimum power." The alien commander appeared on screen again. "You have 72 Earth hours to surrender unconditionally. Report to the coordinates we are transmitting for processing into your new roles as servants." "And if we refuse?" Park asked, though he already knew the answer. "Then Earth will follow Pluto into dust," Korth said simply. "Though we hope it will not come to that. Some of you might make adequate workers if properly trained." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in silence. Lieutenant Choi was the first to speak. "Sir, we should contact the government." Park nodded slowly. "Get me President Yoon Mi-kyung. Emergency channel." While they waited for the connection, Commander Seo studied the tactical display. "Admiral, our entire fleet has maybe 200 ships. Even if every weapon worked perfectly, we couldn't scratch their shields." "I know," Park said quietly, "but we have to try." The screen flickered, and President Yoon Mi-kyung appeared. She was in the emergency bunker beneath Seoul, surrounded by her advisors. Park could see the strain on her face. "Admiral Park," she said, "I assume you saw their demonstration." "Yes, Madam President. Pluto is gone. The whole world saw it. People are panicking in every major city." President Yoon looked older than her years. "What are our options?" Before Park could answer, another voice joined the conversation. "Actually, we might have more options than the aliens think." Dr. Shin Bo-ram appeared on a smaller screen. She was calling from a secret facility hidden in the mountains of Korea. Behind her, Park could see strange equipment that didn't look like normal human technology. "Dr. Shin," President Yoon said, "please tell me you have good news." "The past 6 months haven't been wasted," Dr. Shin said. "After Captain Lee's report from the alien station, we started several new research projects. Very secret projects." General Choi Woo-bin leaned into view on the president's screen. "Doctor, now is not the time for science fiction." "General, respectfully, everything we're dealing with would have been science fiction a year ago." Dr. Shin smiled slightly. "We found some interesting things about those aliens." Park felt a flicker of hope. "What kind of things?" "They're overconfident. They assume we're as limited as we appear to be. But humans have some unusual capabilities that we've never fully explored." "Explain," President Yoon ordered. Dr. Shin looked around carefully, even though she was in a secure facility. Human consciousness interacts with quantum fields in ways that other species apparently cannot. We always thought imagination and intuition were just mental processes. We were wrong. Doctor, General Choi said impatiently, we need weapons, not philosophy. General, I'm talking about the most powerful weapons in the universe. Dr. Shin's voice was deadly serious now. Weapons that don't need bullets or energy. Weapons that work by changing reality itself. Admiral Park stared at the screen. Are you saying we can fight them? I'm saying we can do things they never expected. Things they probably can't do themselves? Dr. Shin paused. But we need those 72 hours, and we need the aliens to come closer. President Yoon made her decision quickly. Do it. Whatever you need, you have it. All resources, all personnel. Thank you, Madam President. Dr. Shin's image disappeared. General Choi looked troubled. Madam President, we're betting everything on experimental technology. Maybe we should consider surrendering. No. President Yoon's voice was firm. I've read the reports on what happens to servant species. They don't survive long. The aliens work them to death and replace them with new servants. Admiral Park nodded. Besides, General, they're not just asking for surrender. They want to erase our culture, our identity, everything that makes us human. On the tactical display, the alien fleet continued its approach. Some of the ships were moving into position around Earth's major cities. Others spread out through the solar system, clearly preparing for a complete occupation. Sir, Lieutenant Choi said quietly, sensors are picking up some strange readings. What kind of readings? From our own ships, sir. Energy signatures that don't match any of our known systems. Park and Commander Seo exchanged glances. Are our crews doing something unauthorized? I don't think so, sir. It's more like the ships themselves are changing. Through the command center's windows, Park could see the Earth Defense Fleet assembling. The ships looked the same as always, but something felt different. There was an energy in the air, a sense that something important was about to happen. Admiral, Communications Officer Lee said, we're getting reports from all over the fleet. Crews are reporting unusual experiences, enhanced reflexes, better intuition, some kind of connection to their ship's systems that shouldn't be possible. Park felt it too now that he thought about it. The command center felt more real, more connected to him personally. He could almost sense the alien fleet approaching, like feeling storm clouds gathering. 72 hours, he said to himself. Sir, Commander Seo asked. Nothing, just hoping Dr. Shin knows what she's doing. Outside, the first alien scout ships entered Earth's atmosphere. They moved slowly, deliberately, making sure every human could see them. The message was clear, resistance was hopeless. But deep in secret facilities around the world, something new was awakening. Something the aliens had never encountered before. The countdown to humanity's greatest test had begun. The final hour had arrived. Admiral Park Dong-ho watched the countdown timer on his screen show, 58 minutes remaining. Around Earth, the alien fleet had positioned itself perfectly, ready to begin the destruction of human civilization. Admiral, Commander Seo Min-ho reported, all our ships are in position, though I still don't understand what we're supposed to be positioned for. Park nodded, feeling strangely calm. Over the past 3 days, something had changed in him and in every human in the defense fleet. He could sense his ships even when he wasn't looking at the displays. He could feel the emotions of his crew members. Most importantly, he could sense something vast and powerful building up around Earth. Sir, incoming transmission from the alien flagship, Communications Officer Lee So-min announced. On screen, Veltar appeared, its crystal form now glowing, with weapon energy. Humans, your time has expired. Prepare for processing. Do not attempt to resist. It will only make your end more painful. Before Park could respond, another voice cut through the transmission. It was Engineer Nam Ki-tae, speaking from his ship, the Busan Guardian. Actually, we'd like to show you something first. Nam, what are you doing? Park asked, but the engineer had already cut his communication link. On the tactical display, Park watched as thousands of small objects suddenly appeared throughout the alien fleet. They materialized from nothing, as if they had been hiding in empty space. What are those? Veltar demanded, its voice showing the first hint of uncertainty. Nam Kite's voice came through on all frequencies. Quantum tunneling mines. We've been placing them around your ships for the past week. You never noticed because they exist in a different dimensional phase until activated. Impossible, Korth's voice joined the transmission. Your species doesn't have dimensional technology. You're right, Nam said cheerfully. We don't have the technology. We just learned to do it ourselves. The mines detonated simultaneously. The explosion was unlike anything seen before in space combat. Instead of fire and debris, reality itself seemed to twist and tear around each alien ship. Space-time distortions ripped through the alien energy shields as if they were made of paper. Dozens of alien vessels simply ceased to exist, not destroyed, but erased from reality. Others spun helplessly, as their engines and weapons systems were torn apart by forces that operated outside normal physics. In the alien command ship, panic spread through the crew. Alarms sounded in frequencies that hurt human ears to hear. Veltar's crystal form flickered wildly as it tried to understand what had happened. "Damage report," it demanded. 63 ships lost, an alien voice reported. "All in the same instant. Our shields provided no protection." Weapons. Did they use some kind of new missile system? No weapons detected. The mines appeared from nowhere and used forces that our sensors cannot identify. On the bridge of the Busan Guardian, Nam Kitai smiled as he watched the alien fleet scatter in confusion. Around him, his crew worked with impossible efficiency, their minds somehow connected to the ship's systems in ways that bypassed normal controls. "How did you know how to build those mines?" his second-in-command asked. "I didn't build them," Nam replied. "I imagined them, and they became real." Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Lee So-min stood in her research facility, watching displays that showed energy readings from around the planet. Every human on Earth was connected to the same phenomenon, though most didn't realize it yet. "The awakening is accelerating," she told her assistant. "Human consciousness is starting to interact directly with quantum fields." "Is that why I keep knowing things I shouldn't know?" the assistant asked. "Like the exact position of every alien ship without looking at a screen?" "Exactly. Our species is evolving in real time. The stress of facing extinction has activated abilities we never knew we had. In space, the alien fleet regrouped, but their confidence was shaken." Veltar opened communications again, its voice no longer mocking. "What manner of weapons are these? Our records show no species capable of dimensional warfare." Captain Jang Hyun-woo answered from his fighter squadron. "They're not weapons. They're just us." As he spoke, Jang pushed his small fighter craft into an attack run against one of the alien cruisers. The alien ship fired its defensive systems, beams of energy that should have vaporized the human fighter instantly. Instead, Jang's ship phased through the energy beams as if they weren't there. His consciousness reached out and touched the quantum structure of his fighter, shifting it between dimensions. To the aliens, it looked like magic. "Impossible," Korth whispered. "Matter cannot exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously." "Tell that to the human pilot," Veltar replied grimly. Jang's fighter reappeared inside the alien ship's hull. His weapons, enhanced by the same quantum effects, fired directly into the ship's core systems. The massive alien cruiser exploded from the inside out. Across the battlefield, other human pilots were performing similar impossible maneuvers. They flew through solid matter, appeared and disappeared at will, and struck targets from angles that violated the laws of physics. "Sir," an alien technician reported to Veltar, "our computers cannot track their movement patterns. They seem to exist in multiple locations at once." "Send word to the Council," Veltar ordered. "Tell them we need reinforcements. Many reinforcements." But the human assault was just beginning. Colonel Bei Jina led the first wave of human quantum core soldiers, transported directly onto alien ships through dimensional rifts that opened wherever they were needed. Bei materialized on the bridge of an alien destroyer. Her consciousness expanded to perceive reality at the subatomic level. The alien crew fired their personal weapons at her, but the energy beams passed harmlessly through her body as she phased in and out of normal space. With a thought, she reached into the molecular structure of the alien weapon systems and simply convinced them to stop working. The weapons crumbled to dust in the aliens' hands. "Surrender your ship," she told the terrified alien crew. "We don't want to hurt you." but we will protect our world. Similar scenes played out across the alien fleet. Human soldiers appeared from nowhere, walked through bulkheads as if they were air, and disabled alien technology with methods that defied understanding. On the alien flagship, panic was turning to terror. Korth's tentacles writhed frantically as it tried to process what was happening. "They're not using technology at all," it reported to Veltar. "They're manipulating reality through consciousness alone. That's impossible. No species can do that. We're watching them do it right now." Dr. Shin Boram's voice suddenly filled the alien command center, transmitted through quantum effects that bypassed all their security systems. "You made a mistake," she said calmly. "You assumed we were limited by the same rules that limit you, but human consciousness works differently than yours." "What are you?" Veltar demanded. "We're what happens when a species develops imagination instead of just logic. While you built better tools, we learned to reshape reality itself. The alien fleet, which had numbered over 3,000 ships, was down to less than 2,000, and falling rapidly. Human forces moved through space like living energy, striking from impossible directions and using weapons that operated outside the known laws of physics. "This is Commander Seo Minho," came a transmission to all alien ships. "You have one chance to surrender. Leave our solar system now, and tell your council that Earth is not available for conquest." "And if we refuse?" Veltar asked, though its voice had lost all its earlier arrogance. "Then you'll discover what humans can really do when we stop holding back." As if to demonstrate, the entire human fleet suddenly vanished from normal space. The aliens found themselves alone in the solar system, their sensors unable to detect any human presence at all. Then, all at once, every remaining alien ship lost power. Their engines shut down, their weapons went offline, and their life support systems stopped working. The humans had reached across space and simply convinced the alien technology to stop functioning. Veltar stared at its darkened control panels in disbelief. Around the flagship, alien ships drifted helplessly as their crews worked frantically. "To restore power." "Proposal," came Admiral Park's voice over the emergency frequencies. "You leave now, in whatever ships can still move. In return, we'll fix your life support so you don't suffocate on the way home." "This is not over," Veltar said, but its voice lacked conviction. "Yes, it is," Park replied. "You just don't know it yet." As alien ships limped away from Earth, carrying news of humanity's impossible victory, none of them noticed the small human devices that attached themselves to their hulls. Namkite's quantum trackers would ensure that humanity could find any alien world, any time, anywhere in the galaxy. The hunters had become the hunted, and they didn't even know it yet. 3 days after the first alien retreat, space around Earth erupted with new arrivals. The Galactic Council had sent their full military force, 10,000 ships carrying the combined armies of 12 alien species. This was no longer a simple conquest. This was a war for survival. Admiral Park Dong-ho stood in the expanded command center, now housed in a facility that existed partially in normal space and partially in quantum dimensions. The past few days had seen remarkable changes in human capabilities, and the military had adapted quickly. "Fleet composition analysis," reported Commander Seo Min-ho, his voice carrying new harmonics that seemed to resonate with reality itself. "We're looking at 12 different alien technologies, all more advanced than what we faced before." Through the quantum viewing systems, Park could see the alien armada spreading across the solar system. Unlike the first fleet, these ships moved with careful precision, maintaining maximum distance from Earth while deploying weapons platforms that could destroy planets from light years away. "Sir," Communications Officer Lee So-min called out, "they're not even trying to talk this time. Just moving into bombardment positions." The lead ship, larger than a small moon, began charging weapons that made the planet killer that destroyed Pluto look like a firecracker. Energy readings showed it could crack worlds in half with a single shot. "Dr. Kang Young-soo," Park spoke into his communication system, "are you ready?" From deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility that existed in 7 dimensions simultaneously, Dr. Kang's voice replied, "The quantum shield generators are online, but Admiral, what we're about to do has never been tested on this scale." "Will it work?" According to our calculations, yes. According to the laws of physics as we understood them last week, absolutely not. The alien superweapon fired. A beam of pure annihilation streaked toward Earth, carrying enough energy to vaporize continents. Every human on the planet should have died in that instant. Instead, the beam passed harmlessly through empty space. Earth simply wasn't there anymore. On the alien flagship, panic spread through the command crew. Sensors showed Earth's gravitational field, its magnetic signature, even its radio emissions. But visually, the planet had vanished. "Status report!" demanded the alien fleet commander, a being called Zephys who resembled a living storm cloud. "The planet is there, but not there," replied a technician whose species communicated through color changes. "It exists in the same location, but in a different quantum state." Dr. Kang's voice echoed across all alien frequencies, transmitted through quantum effects that bypass their communication systems entirely. Earth is now phased into a parallel dimensional state. Your weapons can't touch us because we're not fully in your reality anymore. Veltar, present as an advisor to the fleet, spoke with obvious fear. "How is this possible? Dimensional phasing requires planet-sized machinery." "Not if you know how to think properly," Dr. Kang replied calmly. "We moved Earth by convincing reality that it wanted to be somewhere else." The implications hit the alien commanders like a physical blow. If humans could phase an entire planet at will, what else could they do? They found out quickly. Across the solar system, human ships began emerging from quantum space. But these weren't the same vessels that had fought the first battle. These ships existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, their hulls flickering between solid matter and pure energy. Captain Jang Hyun-woo led the first squadron, his consciousness now expanded to perceive 11 dimensions of reality. His fighter craft moved through space-time like a living thing, appearing at multiple locations simultaneously before striking from directions that didn't exist in normal physics. "Target the command ships," he transmitted to his squadron. "Remember, we're not just fighting with weapons. We're fighting with reality itself." The human fighters attacked the alien fleet from impossible angles. They emerged from inside solid ships, struck from the past and future simultaneously, and used weapons that fired backward through time to hit targets before the trigger was pulled. One alien destroyer tried to target Zhang's fighter with its defense grid. The targeting computer locked on, fired, and watched its own weapons curve around in a circle to hit itself instead. "How are they doing this?" Zephys demanded. "They're rewriting the laws of physics in real time," Veltar replied. "Each human seems to have localized reality alteration capabilities." Colonel Bei Jin-ah materialized on the bridge of the alien flagship, stepping out of a quantum rift that opened in the middle of their most secure command center. She looked around at the dozen different alien species present, all of them backing away from her in terror. "I'm here to offer terms," she said politely. "Surrender now, and we'll let you leave." Zephys, being made of living storm, tried to strike her with lightning. The electrical discharge passed harmlessly through Bei's body as she shifted her molecular structure to pure energy and back to matter in microseconds. "I can exist as matter, energy, or pure thought as needed," she explained. "Your weapons are designed to fight other technologies, not conscious will made manifest." With a gesture, she caused every weapon on the alien bridge to transform into flowers. The aliens stared in shock as their most advanced military equipment became a garden. "This is impossible," whispered one of the alien technicians, a being that looked like a walking crystal tree. "Your species developed differently than ours," Bei explained. "You focused on building better tools to manipulate reality. We learned to become the tools ourselves." Across the fleet, similar scenes played out. Human soldiers appeared wherever they chose, walked through any barrier, and disabled alien systems by convincing them to stop working. It wasn't technology fighting technology anymore. It was conscious will reshaping reality to match human needs. Professor Oh Seung-hwan coordinated the defense from Earth's Quantum Command Center. His consciousness was linked to every human in the solar system, creating a network of awareness that spanned dimensions. "Phase 2, he announced. "Show them what collective human consciousness can accomplish." Around Earth, space itself began to change. The very fabric of reality bent and twisted as millions of human minds focused on a single goal. Stars rearranged themselves into new patterns. Time flowed differently in some areas, faster in others. The fundamental forces that held matter together became suggestions rather than laws. The alien fleet found themselves trapped in a pocket of space where their own technology turned against them. Their ships' hulls began changing into materials that conducted their own weapon energy back into their power systems. Their computers started running backwards, deleting their own programming. Their life support systems began producing exactly what each species needed to survive, but only if they remained completely still and non-threatening. "This isn't warfare," Korth transmitted from one of the trapped ships. "This is reality revision on a cosmic scale." "Now you understand," came Dr. Shin Boram's voice from Earth. "We don't fight by destroying things. We fight by imagining better alternatives and making them real." Zephys, recognizing defeat, opened communications. "What do you want from us?" "Nothing," Admiral Park replied. "We want you to leave and never come back. Tell the rest of the galaxy that Earth is protected by forces they cannot comprehend or defeat. And if the Council sends more fleets? Then we'll protect the entire galaxy from the Council," Park said simply. "We're not interested in conquest, but we won't allow bullies to hurt innocent species anymore." The alien fleet began its retreat, but this time was different. As they tried to jump to faster-than-light speed, they discovered that their navigation systems had been quietly rewritten. Every ship's computer now contained detailed maps of every inhabited world in the galaxy, along with information about species oppressed by the Council. "Consider it a gift," Nam Kite transmitted to the fleeing aliens. "Now you know where to find everyone who might want to join a rebellion against your masters." As the last alien ship disappeared into hyperspace, Earth phased back into normal reality. The planet looked exactly the same, but everything had changed. Humanity was no longer an isolated species facing extinction. They were a power capable of rewriting the rules of existence itself. In the command center, Park looked around at his officers. Each of them showed signs of the ongoing evolution. Their eyes held depths that hadn't been there before. Their movements carried confidence that came from knowing they could reshape reality if needed. "What now, Admiral?" Commander Seo asked. Park smiled. "Now we wait for the real war to begin, because the Council isn't going to give up their power willingly." Outside, Earth's new quantum defense grid hummed with energy that existed in multiple dimensions. Humanity was ready for whatever came next. But across the galaxy, on worlds ruled by the Council, the first reports of the impossible human victory were spreading. And some species, long oppressed, began to hope for the first time in centuries that freedom might be possible after all. 2 weeks after the second alien defeat, the galaxy's greatest armada assembled at the edge of the solar system. Every species under Council rule had been forced to contribute ships and soldiers. 10,000 vessels had become 50,000. Carrying the combined military might of an empire that ruled 1,000,000 worlds. Admiral Park Dong-ho studied the massive fleet through Earth's quantum sensors. This was no longer about conquering humanity. The Council was fighting for its very existence because word of Earth's impossible victories had spread across the galaxy like wildfire. "Sir," reported Commander Seo Min-ho, "we're detecting rebellion. Activities on over 300 Council worlds. The news of our victories has inspired widespread uprisings." Park nodded. This was exactly what humanity had hoped for, but it also meant the Council would fight with desperate fury. They couldn't afford to lose again. "Dr. Oh Seung-hwan," Park spoke into his communication system, "are we ready for the final test?" From his position in the Collective Consciousness Center, Professor Oh's voice carried harmonics that seemed to resonate across multiple dimensions. "The network is fully activated. Every human on Earth and in the colonies is linked. We've never attempted something this large, but the theoretical framework is sound." "Theoretical?" General Choi Woo-bin asked nervously. "General, everything we've done in the past month was theoretical until we did it," Dr. Oh replied. "Trust the process." Through the quantum viewing system, Park watched as the alien armada began its final approach. At its head was a ship so large it had its own gravitational field. The Council itself was present, determined to personally oversee humanity's destruction. Veltar's voice reached Earth through subspace communication. Humans, you have become a disease in the galaxy's body. We bring the cure. Actually, Dr. Han Ye-jin replied from her research station. I think you'll find we're more like the immune system. We're here to protect the galaxy from parasites, like you. The lead council ship fired first, using a weapon that unmade matter at the quantum level. It was followed by thousands of others, creating a wave of annihilation that could have destroyed solar systems. But instead of trying to dodge or block the attack, humanity did something unprecedented. Every human being on Earth and across the colonies opened their consciousness simultaneously, creating a unified field of awareness that spanned light years. Professor O coordinated the effort, his mind serving as the central node for humanity's greatest achievement. Through the collective consciousness network, every human thought became part of a single, incomprehensibly vast intelligence. The alien weapons struck this field of consciousness and simply stopped existing, not destroyed, not deflected, but convinced that they had never been fired in the first place. Reality rewrote itself to match humanity's collective will. On the Council flagship, instruments went crazy as sensors tried to process what they were seeing. The human fleet, which numbered only a few hundred ships, suddenly existed in multiple realities simultaneously. Each ship appeared in thousands of locations at once, creating an armada that filled local space. Impossible readings, reported the Council's chief scientist, a being that resembled a living mathematical equation. They have somehow multiplied their forces by a factor of infinite. Not multiplied, Dr. Han's voice came through their systems. We simply convinced reality that our few ships were actually everywhere they needed to be. Consciousness shapes reality at the quantum level. With enough focused human will, we can rewrite the fundamental nature of existence. Commander Seo demonstrated this principle by taking direct control of space-time around the alien fleet. His consciousness reached into the atomic structure of their ships and gently suggested that the molecules holding them together might prefer to be arranged differently. Entire alien vessels transformed into geometric art sculptures while their crews watched in helpless terror. Weapon systems became musical instruments. Navigation computers turned into poetry generators. The most advanced military technology in the galaxy was being rewritten by human imagination. Colonel Bei Jin-ah led the Quantum Corps in their most ambitious mission yet. Instead of boarding enemy ships, they stepped directly into the Council chambers aboard the flagship. 12 alien leaders, each representing a different species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia, found themselves facing a single human woman who had walked through every barrier they possessed. Greetings, Bei said politely. I'm here to accept your surrender. The council members reacted with a mixture of rage and terror. Several tried to activate personal protection devices. Others attempted to call for guards. All of their efforts failed, as Bei's presence seemed to create a bubble of altered reality around them. How are you doing this? Demanded the council. Leader, an ancient being whose species had evolved beyond physical form into pure energy. Every human is doing this, Bei replied. We're all connected now. Every thought, every dream, every act of imagination from 8 billion humans is focused on rewriting the rules that you've used to oppress the galaxy. To demonstrate, she gestured toward the energy being. Instantly, it found itself given a physical form again, something its species hadn't experienced in millions of years. The alien leader stared at its new hands in shock and confusion. You've forgotten what it means to be truly alive, Bei continued. You've become so focused on control and power that you've lost touch with the creative force that drives evolution itself. Across the fleet, human forces were demonstrating the full scope of their abilities. Captain Zhang Hyun-woo existed in 11 dimensions simultaneously, striking targets in the past, present, and future. His attacks weren't destroying ships so much as convincing them that they wanted to join humanity's cause instead. Engineer Nam Ki-tae had transcended the need for tools entirely. He repaired damaged human vessels by thinking about them being whole, upgraded their systems by imagining better designs, and created new technologies by dreaming them into existence. This is beyond any known science, transmitted Korth from its failing ship. They're not using technology anymore. They're using pure creative force. Correct, Dr. Shin Bo-ram's voice replied. While your species focused on building better machines. humanity developed something far more powerful. We learned to make reality itself our machine. The alien fleet, which had seemed invincible an hour earlier, was now completely helpless. Their ships drifted through space, transformed into gardens, art galleries, or simply empty hulls, whose crews had been gently relocated to safe observation areas. But humanity wasn't finished demonstrating their true capabilities. Professor O activated the final phase of the collective consciousness network. Every human mind in the galaxy linked together, creating a field of awareness that touched every inhabited world in the galaxy simultaneously. On planets ruled by the Council, oppressed species suddenly found their mental capabilities enhanced. Slave races discovered they could break their chains by simply refusing to believe the chains were real. Subjugated civilizations realized they had the power to reshape their worlds according to their own needs rather than their masters' demands. "What have you done?" the Council leader asked in horror. "We've given the galaxy what it always needed," Admiral Park replied through the communication system. "We've given every species the chance to remember that reality is shaped by consciousness, not by technology or force." Across the galaxy, rebellions that had simmered for centuries erupted into full revolution. But these weren't violent uprisings. They were reality revisions. Oppressed species simply convinced their worlds that the Council had never ruled them. Slave colonies imagined themselves free and became free. Prison planets transformed into paradise worlds. The Council's million-world empire began dissolving as species after species realized they didn't have to accept subjugation anymore. "This is chaos," Veltar transmitted desperately. "No," Dr. Han replied. "This is evolution. The galaxy is growing up." In the Council chambers aboard the flagship, Bay offered the alien leaders a choice. "You can try to fight this change and be swept away by it, or you can learn to participate in the new reality we're creating." What new reality? The energy being asked. One where every species has the right to develop according to its own nature, where consciousness shapes reality instead of being shaped by it, where the universe is limited only by imagination rather than by the rules imposed by those who claim authority. The Council leader looked around at its fellow rulers, seeing the fear and confusion in their alien features. "And if we refuse?" Bay smiled sadly. "Then you'll discover that in a universe shaped by conscious will, those who refuse to grow eventually convince themselves out of existence." As if to demonstrate this point, several of the more stubborn Council members began to fade, their rigid thinking patterns unable to adapt to a reality where imagination was more powerful than force. "Choose quickly," Bay advised the remaining leaders. "Reality is changing whether you participate or not." Outside, the last of the alien fleet was transforming. Ships became schools where species could learn about their new capabilities. Weapons platforms turned into communication networks, helping newly freed worlds coordinate their development. The greatest military force in galactic history had become the foundation for the greatest peaceful revolution ever attempted. And a T. 6 months after the final battle, Admiral M. Dae-Young stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Coordination Center, watching ships from 1,000 different worlds arrive at Earth. The massive station orbited between Earth and Mars, built not with traditional construction, but through collective human consciousness shaping reality into the form they needed. "Status report, Captain Ryu," he said to his aide. Captain Ryu Yunji consulted her quantum data display, information flowing directly into her consciousness from across the galaxy. 732 worlds have joined the Terran hegemony. Another 200 are in transition. Only 43 former Council worlds are still holding out. And those holdouts? Mostly the species that were highest in the old hierarchy. They're having trouble accepting that they're not in charge anymore. Im nodded. The transition hadn't been completely smooth. Some species, particularly those that had benefited most from the Council's oppressive system, were struggling to adapt to a galaxy where power came from imagination rather than force. Through the station's quantum viewing system, he could see Earth below, now transformed into something beyond its former self. The planet existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions, its surface holding ecosystems from across the galaxy. Refugee species had been given entire continents to rebuild their civilizations, while human cities floated in the spaces between dimensions. "Sir," Communications Officer Lee Tae-ho reported, We're receiving a delegation request from the Krillian Empire. They want to discuss terms for joining the hegemony. The Krillians? Ryu raised an eyebrow. They were one of the Council's most aggressive military species. Which is exactly why we need to handle this carefully, Im replied. Send word that I'll meet with them personally. The Krillian delegation arrived an hour later. Their leader, a being that resembled a giant armored beetle, approached with obvious nervousness. Behind it came Veltar and Korth, both now serving as advisors to species trying to adapt to the new galactic order. Admiral Im, the Krillian leader said, its voice translated through quantum communication fields. I am War Leader Zekthal. I come to discuss surrender terms. Not surrender, Im corrected gently. Partnership terms. We're not here to conquer anyone. Veltar spoke up, its crystal form now showing colors of humility rather than arrogance. Admiral, the Krillians are concerned about their role in the new galaxy. They've spent millennia as warriors. They don't know how to be anything else. That's not true, Dr. Jung Taeho said as he joined the meeting. As Earth's new Minister of Species Development, he had become an expert in helping alien civilizations adapt to their enhanced consciousness capabilities. Every species has potential they've never explored. The Krillians just need to remember who they were before they became professional soldiers. He gestured, and the room filled with holographic images showing Krillian history. Before they joined the Council's military, the Krillians had been master artists, creating sculptures and architecture that spanned entire continents. We had forgotten, Zekthal said quietly. The Council needed warriors, so we became warriors. But once, we built beauty instead of destroying it. You can build beauty again, Dr. Jung assured him. In fact, with your enhanced consciousness abilities, you can create art that exists across multiple dimensions. Imagine sculptures that tell different stories depending on which reality you view them from. As he spoke, Zekthal's armored form began to change. The harsh military angles softened into more artistic curves. The Krillian was unconsciously reshaping itself to match its rediscovered identity. This is the miracle we see every day, Veltar said to Im. Species remembering who they really are when they're not afraid. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from Captain Nam Ki-su, who was monitoring the galaxy's outer rim. Admiral, we have a situation. Long-range sensors are detecting unknown ships approaching from outside the galaxy. They're not using any technology we recognize. Im felt a familiar tension. Just when the galaxy was finally at peace, a new threat appeared. How many ships? Impossible to count, sir. They seem to exist in a state of quantum flux. But, Admiral, they're not showing any hostile intent. In fact, they're broadcasting what appears to be... Congratulations. An hour later, the alien fleet revealed itself in Sol's system. But these weren't conquerors or refugees. They were representatives from other galaxies, drawn by the unprecedented transformation of the Milky Way. The lead ship's commander was unlike anything humans had encountered before. It appeared as pure light given form, communicating through direct consciousness transfer rather than language. Greetings, young transcendents, it said, its thoughts flowing into human minds like warm sunlight. We are the gardeners, shepherds, of consciousness evolution across the universe. We come to congratulate your species on achieving true awakening. Admiral Park Dong-ho, now serving as Earth's representative to extragalactic affairs, felt humbled by the being's presence. True awakening? Most species follow one of two paths, the gardener explained. They either develop technology that eventually replaces consciousness, or they develop consciousness that transcends the need for technology. Rarely does a species achieve both simultaneously. Rarer still does one species guide an entire galaxy through the transition. Dr. Han Ye-jin joined the conversation, her curiosity overcoming her awe. Are there other galaxies that have achieved this? A few. But most require millions of years and careful guidance. Your species accomplished it in months, and you did it while fighting for survival. This suggests something unique about human consciousness. What makes us different? Park asked. The gardener's form pulsed with what might have been amusement. Your chaos. Most species seek order, predictability, control. Humans embrace contradiction, paradox, impossible dreams made real. This chaos is actually the fundamental creative force of the universe. Around the solar system, representatives from dozens of other galaxies were arriving. Each brought greetings and offers of knowledge exchange. The Milky Way, once isolated and ruled by oppressive hierarchy, was being welcomed into a community of awakened galaxies. But the transformation wasn't complete yet. On former Council worlds, the last holdouts were finally accepting reality. Species that had ruled through fear and force were learning to create through love and imagination. Commander Seo Min-ho reported from the former Council capital world. The last of the resistance has ended. The energy beings who used to be the Council's ruling class have agreed to become teachers instead of rulers. Teachers of what? Im asked. How not to repeat their mistakes. They're sharing their history with newly awakened species, showing them how the pursuit of power over others always leads to stagnation and decay. Across the galaxy, the new order was taking shape, but it wasn't the rigid hierarchy of the old Council. Instead, it was an organic network of cooperative civilizations, each contributing their unique perspective to the collective growth of consciousness. Children born on any world in the galaxy now grew up with enhanced awareness, able to perceive multiple dimensions and shape reality through focused intention. Art became a form of reality engineering. Science became the exploration of consciousness rather than just matter. Philosophy became the practical study of how thoughts create worlds. What happens now? Captain Ryu asked as they watched the first Intergalactic Academy take shape in the space near Earth. Students from across the universe were coming to learn about consciousness evolution and reality manipulation. Now we grow, Im replied. We explore not just the physical universe, but all the possible universes that consciousness can create. We become gardeners ourselves, helping other young species discover their own paths to awakening. In the Academy's main hall, former enemies worked together as teachers and students. Veltar instructed classes on the dangers of technological dependency. Korth taught courses on the importance of emotional growth. Even the former council leaders had found new purpose in helping others avoid their mistakes. Dr. Lee So-min, now director of the academy, watched her students with pride. Humans and aliens sat together, learning to reshape reality through cooperative imagination rather than competitive force. The hardest part is over, she told her assistant. We've proven that consciousness evolution is possible. Now we get to explore what comes next. Through the Academy's quantum windows, she could see Earth below, still recognizable but transformed into something magnificent. The planet that had once been dismissed as a primitive backwater was now the center of galactic civilization, not through conquest, but through the simple act of showing other species that there was a better way to exist. And in classrooms across the galaxy, young beings of every species were learning the most important lesson humanity had discovered. Reality is not fixed. It's a collaborative creation between consciousness and possibility, limited only by the courage to imagine something better. The galaxy had grown up, and it was ready to help the universe do the same. As Admiral Im stood watching ships from 100 galaxies arrive to share knowledge and friendship, he smiled. The aliens had ridiculed humanity for being weak and primitive. They had been wrong about everything except one thing. Humanity truly was different. But that difference hadn't been weakness at all. It had been the key to UNL.